somebody needs to call the Guinness Book of World Records, because guess what happened? I bred an African cichlid in my aquarium. Oh my gosh, what an accomplishment. And of course I'm joking, but it is cool to see that the Mbuna have finally started producing offspring. All right, let's check in on the Discus aquarium. They are looking beautiful as always, but let's check more specifically on how well did the water lettuce grow and the water hyacinth. Well, it grew really well. So well that it killed off the hair algae, which is what we wanted, but it also sort of killed off the light, you know. There's not enough light in here. So I think it's time to find a new home for some of that water lettuce. And if I'm not mistaken, we just built a new custom sump for the 600-gallon Asian jungle aquarium with a giant vegetable filtration box. Yeah, I think I've got an idea. This is definitely one of those times it's not easy to pick up a camera. Here's one of those things you don't want to see when you come down in the fish basement. Yeah, that's right. That is a 150-gallon deep dimension cube. Its water is down to here because the rest of it is all over the floor. And thankfully for me, most of it ran out the back door, the screen or the sliding glass door into the backyard. But yeah, you can still see it dripping down here. I literally put down some towels and did a little inspection and picked up the camera, so this is fresh. So you can imagine I'm frustrated, but yeah, it's leaking in the back. It split a seam right in the bottom in the back. I don't know if the camera can get it. It's still dripping, but oh my god. You know, the Deep Dimensions they have that reputation for splitting for the 300 gallons and everything, and I thought the 150 cube would be immune to it, but apparently not. Yeah, it's brutal. Now I know why I build my own tanks, right? So I don't have this crap happen. Oh man, I'll tell you, these are the times in the fish basement that suck. But yeah, so thankfully there's one good thing that came out of this, and that's that I did move all the fish about 2 weeks ago over to the 750 gallon. I was going to cover in an upcoming video how I was going to reset this because I was sort of duplicating the 750 and I was going to put something different in it, so I moved the fish. So there's one small blessing. Now the water didn't go all the way down, so they probably would have been okay anyways, but brutal. So at any rate, yeah, the 150 gallon riverbed is dead. All right. Yeah, so obviously when the frustration wears off and I get this mess cleaned up, I'll figure out what we're gonna do with this, but I don't know. I think I'm done with this commercial aquarium here. It's time to build another one myself because I just don't think the quality's there with these anymore. There's quality control is lacking, I think. But all right, let me get to work. Well, as you can tell from the title and from the intro, there's always lots of things going on in the Aquarium Maine fish basement. Fortunately, only a little bit bad, mostly good. We've got baby Africans. I know, it's like water is wet, right? Of course, you got Africans in an aquarium, you're gonna have babies. Well, we have babies, and looking forward to seeing those guys grow up and figure out which of the Mbuna it was that had babies. As you can tell, my 150 gallon cube is no more, so the riverbed aquarium is a one and done. Yeah, the bottom seam split, and it's done. I'm cutting it up. It's gonna be repurposed into some sort of a custom aquarium. So I don't know when I'll do that, but for right now I'm gonna cut it up and get it out of my way and just reuse the glass, and we'll build it back better, stronger, all that good stuff. But with the Discus aquarium, the water lettuce and the hyacinth has done its job. It has starved the nutrients, blocked the light, killed the hair algae. That's awesome, but it's too successful. Can't see the fish, so going to harvest a whole bunch of that floating water lettuce and going to introduce it to the sump of the 600 gallon. We got that big vegetable filter back there. I got it all set up and ready to go. The sump has been through its test period. It's been a couple weeks, no problems, so it's time to go ahead and dial it in, add the plants, add the sponges and everything, and get it going. And the 750, the cichlids win. I give up. The swords are coming out. I'm pulling out the baskets. I'm going to open up some space. I can kind of tell there's basically the area where the food goes, and they want that area. It kind of starts on the left and blows across to the right and down, and that area's got to be clean, so got to be clear for those guys. They're just going to uproot everything. you know, it is what it is. So you can see I got the pumps turned off. I'm doing some maintenance on it right now. I'm gonna bring the water level down, take that stuff out, and I've got some new plants that I hopefully will work with these guys. Plants that will give these guys plenty of room, but also give a little green to the aquarium. But yeah, at any rate, we'll get it all cleaned up. It's looking a little beat down with them tearing up all those plants, so we'll get it spruced back up. And the 600 gallon, I'll bust out the power meter. I think we got too much light going on there. In fact, I know we do because I already looked, but I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. And I think it's time to make some adjustments on the lights over there. You know, we'll swap those out with some other ones I have, and yeah, see what we can do. And last but least, we'll check back on the Discus aquarium and we'll see what it looks like without a ton of plants blocking all the light, because those beautiful Discus, you can't just have them without having some light on them to see those beautiful colors. So I miss my Discus. They're in there, they've been eating, they're getting big, but I want to be able to see them again like I could before, and this time without hair algae. So all right, lots of updates, which means lots of work for me, so let me get going. Okay, so thinned the herd up there, still plenty of plants up there, but man, what a difference just taking out some of it makes for lighting up the aquarium. I can actually see the fish now. So very, very happy though with the results of that, beating back all that hair algae without me having to you know, do manual things or use any chemicals. Very happy about that, and I'm happy to be able to see my Discus now, even though quite honestly I think I could probably harvest out some more of this, and I did plan to do that, except for we had the 150 cubes split, so that sort of threw a wrench in things, but I'll find a home for those plants soon enough, and we'll thin this out some more. And I hate to throw out perfectly good plants, so try to find a home for them in one of my systems here, which shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, it's definitely nice to be able to see the fish, and especially all the little guys. I was kind of thinking I didn't have all my Tetra in there, but they're actually all there. I just couldn't see them that well when the light wasn't that good. So you can still tell it's pretty dark in the back over here on the right, and definitely back here on the left. So very dark. So still need to move some of those out, and it will be interesting to see that when I do move more of the water lettuce off the top of the surface, you know, if the hair algae comes back or not. Hopefully we're past it, we've beaten it back, and that's that. So we'll see. Also be interested to see if the dwarf sage, you know, how much more growth we have down there with more light. So always cool with the living ecosystem to see the effects and to keep tweaking it to get the right results. Well, I think while we're here, we might as well give these guys some food. Give them some of their Cobalt Aquatics Discus food. They really seem to like this stuff, and since it's just flakes and not the granules, easier for the small Tetra to eat as well. So I like to give them, you know, one or two of these, and then some of the Discus specific granules or frozen food, sort of as the in-between feedings, and then have these as the staple. So everybody can get some. Should be not too long before we have a Cory cat army out here cleaning up what's left at the bottom. Though, like we've seen before, Discus are more than happy to eat off the bottom, so they'll take what's at the top, at the surface, the water column, and the bottom. They're pretty awesome fish for sure. Not just appearance, but their behavior, and they're very resourceful. I know in the past they had the reputation for being delicate or whatever, but they're not really delicate. I think in the past people just didn't understand their, you know, the temperature thing that much. They're keeping at much lower temperatures, and then they, you know, they don't do well. But in the right temperature, they seem to me just to be just as hardy as any other equivalent cichlid to their size. So they're definitely nice. Okay, let's go back and check on the double DIY builds, the 600 and 750. You know, I don't know if I could just walk by the African tank without throwing these guys some food as well, again, or the pothos tank, however you want to look at it. This guy here is growing out in 3D off the front of it. I hate to prune him back though. I'm just enjoying watching it grow off the wall and grow off the sides. It's definitely pretty fun. So let's throw these guys a little food. So one thing I'm noticing is at least one of the babies, he's growing exponentially. I mean, he's like doubling in size every week. Very cool. He's munched on the flakes. And of course our river African cichlids, our Turkana jewels, and our Mbuna lake African cichlids still doing well together, as well as the dolphin, the blue dolphins. They're starting a little size to them, but eventually they'll be sort of the showpiece fish in here, as they should get much larger than everybody else, and hopefully everything remains as peaceful as it's been all along. I'm still holding to it's the Aquascape, the dense Aquascape. Just gives these guys such a level of sight breaks you just don't normally see in a lot of African tanks, and I think it has a very, very positive effect on the aquarium. So we'll see. They're starting to get closer to that full size. You know, you can never tell with juveniles. A lot of times the aggression, or I should say the attitude, comes out when the fish are full grown. So still remains to be seen, but so far so good for sure. And I did notice that the other day it said there was only 2 babies, but I've seen a few more, so we'll see. It's hard to tell how many's gonna shake out of there, but I would say probably at least 3 that I've seen that have some serious size to them, so I would imagine they'll make it. Okay, all right, let's get back to the back room and check out the 600 and the 750. So let's start with Amazonian Islands. Okay, we kind of have, I'm calling this an intermediate aquascape. I pulled out the sword from the left, and then on the right here, the big basket's gone, and I've just sort of have what I consider an intermediate aquascape. I don't know if I love that arrangement with the rocks or not, but I don't know. I just sort of ended up with that. It won't be the first time that I make changes, you know, to this tank, so as we know. But it is more compatible with these fish, and I was hoping to have the new plants in for this video, but they haven't arrived yet, and it's pretty cold outside, so I'm kind of expecting some frozen plants, but hopefully not. But when I do get those and I start to put those in, I'll sort of reassess where I'm at with the aquascape here, and probably make adjustments. But I did mention there was new fish in here, and these are the fish that were moved over from the 150 cube, and these are the albino threadfin acara. These guys down here, there's actually 3 of these guys, and they're really beautiful fish. There's another one in the back there. And also the group of Von Rio Tetra were moved over as well. Those were also in the 150. There's one right there. I was thinking the 150 was just turning into a smaller version of the 750, so I had decided to go ahead and move these guys over to the 750 rather than just duplicating the tank, since I had plenty of room in here anyways. And it's kind of a good thing I did, I guess, because, you know, there could have been fatalities with the tank splitting and most of the water coming out, because I did find it before it completely drained, so I would have been able to get them out, but that was chance, you know, just by chance, because if it had been an hour difference in time, it would have been drained out before I saw it, so they would have died. So I'm glad they got in here ahead of time, and you know, didn't lose any fish, you know, especially, well, all of them honestly, but these Acara, these guys, I know what they look like when they get bigger. They really take on some amazing coloration, so I cannot wait for that. And quite honestly, they're loving the 750 way more than the 150 anyways, so they're going to do great in here. And I still want to stick with the plan to add some more schools of Tetra. I want more of the smaller fish intermixed with these large cichlids. I just love that dynamic. I think I've said before, that's what I always loved about the saltwater world, is you could have like a 2-foot angelfish and then a little goby, and they could coexist with each other. And that's what the 750 does for me for freshwater. You get these, you know, big Severum and Geos and angelfish, but yet you can have, you know, small Tetra intermixed with them, schools of Tetra. And this tank being big enough, I can have larger Tetra as well, so that's awesome. So I want to add some more red, so probably looking at Bleeding Heart or Serpe Tetras, those kind of things. Probably mix in a few schools of those guys. Also, I want to get some different shapes, so I was sort of thinking like possibly Emperor or Penguin Tetra, that long sort of different shape for most of these other guys. So we'll see. A lot of cool things coming to this tank. Oh, and I did mention that I was gonna show you the results from the par meter, and the problem is it's really hard to use the par meter and film at the same time. So basically what ended up happening is really both these tanks, they're up at the top here of the water, they're well up at the 200 to 250 par, and then all the way down at the bottom, this aquarium with the white sand was still all the way at 100 par, where the 600 gallon went down to about 75 par. So Originally I was going to downsize the lights and switch out these with smaller ones, but then I was thinking I've always sort of suffered from these tanks of light spread. There's kind of lighter and darker areas, so I think what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to elevate the lights. So I'm going to leave the same amount of wattage, but I'm going to raise the lights, raise them up some underneath. I'll put some temporary, you know, supports underneath these just to raise it up, so like figure out, you know, what is the right support, and then I can either, you know, paint up the temporaries and connect them, or I can take those feet off and just build new feet. That's probably what I'll do, is just unscrew those legs, screw in new legs, and then get better light distribution across the tank. And that goes for the 600 as well. So speaking of the 600, let's go ahead and jump over there. Oh, Angel's so beautiful. So the 600 gallon, the light spread is even more of an issue. There's, you know, there's so much of a, well, actually, let's stop that. We're going to go backwards. It's turning into, you know, it is kind of a jungle now, so the light penetrating all that and all that wood in the back is an issue. Because as you can see, the valve and everything's really taken off, which is awesome. I love that. That's the effect we wanted. We wanted to spread it out throughout the tank, some in the back, some in the front, you know, growing up, bending over. Definitely a very cool effect. Another thing as well is I changed the water flow. I'm going left to right here across the front, because a lot of these guys, the rainbows and these trout danio, they just love the current. So rather than hitting the back, I'm doing across the front, and then the returns are going across the top of the back. So we kind of got a water flow going like this. So it's working out pretty good, and I cranked the water flow up. So ever since I've done that, it's been working out really well. The fish really seem to be responding to it, so I'm going to stick with that. But so like I was saying, the light spread on the 600 Asian Jungle is even more of an issue. So this has the stronger, higher power lights on it, so I think moving them up and getting a better light spread is going to be just what this tank needed. Because you got the same thing where we got 200 par up at the top, and that's way more than what those Anubias and Java Fern need. You can see the algae growing on it, so we want to, you know, it's too much. And then down low, I'm still getting 75 par, you know, for these crypts, and that's more than they need. So they're getting algae on them as well. So I definitely either need to reduce the light, or like I said, raise it up significantly and see if getting the better spread, and then obviously the further the light is away, it's going to reduce the par. I'm going to try that first, because I really think that is, my gut tells me that that is the right way to go. So we'll give that a shot. As always, you know, if it doesn't pan out, you know, we do things here at Aquarium Main Basement. We try things, we try to work with the ecosystem, and rather than using, you know, brute force techniques or chemicals or whatever. So we're going to work with it, we're going to look at the results, and then based on the results, we'll tweak until we get it right and we have an ecosystem that, you know, is happy, you know, across the board. That's the goal, is to have these ecosystem aquariums, you know, more or less sort of run themselves as much as possible. All right, so now for the sump. We've got the sump dialed out. We've got the light back on the vegetable chamber, and you can see that's where a lot of the water lettuce went. So it obviously absorbed quite a bit back there, and it's doing its job. I'm holding off on putting the polishing pad in here. I just, you know, I'm paranoid. I added all the water lettuce. I want to make sure there's no glomming off of the water flow or anything like that. So I like to make steps, you know, if you like one at a time, you know, not just change a whole bunch of stuff at once and maybe run into a problem. So I just want to make sure this water flow continues through, and everything is good here. Then the only other change I made in the return, as you can see, I put a snorkel on there so that I'm picking the water up right off the bottom of that container or chamber, because as many people pointed out, they say, well, it doesn't look like there's enough room in here to support the water being turned, or the power being turned off, and the water draining down into the sump, because they just see a few inches over here. Now it's perfectly fine for the water to go over this. It's just this outside edge. But so this is the highest part of the sump, and then over here is where you get to the big reservoir. So you have more room here, but then in this chamber here, you have way down. The water is like a foot down in that chamber. Well, actually not quite a foot, 10 inches down, 8-10 inches down. So this is the largest part of the reservoir. So if you take the size of the sumps and the amount of depth you have in this chamber, and the amount of depth you have in this chamber, and then this chamber, and you do the math, it is equivalent to the dimensions of the upper tank by the amount of depth you go down for the drain. So, you know, as far as on paper, it should work. And I did test it one time, but I actually, the sump was way down from what I normally run it at, so, and it had room, so, but it's just hard to tell because when you're looking at maybe half an inch or an inch spread out over a large area, it's a little difficult to foresee, you know, what it's going to look like, you know, how much higher would it go if I had the water at the exact right operating height. So I need to do the test, but at any rate, just doing the math, it works out, so we'll see. Let's go ahead and throw some food in for these guys. These guys are always a blast, especially these Danio. You can't even put your hand in the tank to do stuff without these trout Danio taking shots at you. I mean, they're beasts. So let's get some food in there. All right, there's the big feeding. This is the impossible tank to like film the feeding because there's activity everywhere. Everyone's going after some food somewhere. I don't know where to focus on, but I'll stay up here in the water column. We got all these fast guys. It's fun watching these rainbows and trout Danio taking food out of the water column, especially right out of the faster part. They're just speed demons. I have to get back some because it's impossible to catch them up close. As well as the mascara barbs. If you notice, they've put on quite a bit of size. So, and they are no slouch as far as swimmers in their own right. So they're looking beautiful. We know when mascara barb get full grown, they get some amazing coloration. So, and honestly, with these rainbows too, this tank has like most of my tanks, there's a long way to go here, but I can see a mature version of this tank just being absolutely beautiful. It's got with these fish. Also the clown loaches, you know, they're known for slow growers, but these guys are putting on some serious size because they were quite small when I got them. You know, they're probably, you know, 3 times what they were. So, and one of them is way bigger than all the rest. So he's the jumbo one is more than 3x. But yeah, they seem to love the tropical granules down there. Okay, so you probably think this is the part of the video where I sort of sign off and, you know, say thanks for watching and, you know, talk about upcoming things, but you got a treat. If you made it this far in the video, well, you're going to get rewarded because you're going to get to see what the Aquarium Domain members and patrons get to see, which is an early access video that I'm tacking on the end of this video for you, and it is of the new fish room annex. Construction has started, and I do a little walk around and we can do a little theory crafting on what kind of tanks we can build in there. So, you know, hey, you made it this far, you get a bonus. So let's check it out. All right, it's time for a sneak peek, early access look at the basement annex. This show a little appreciation to all the members and patrons who support Aquarium Domain YouTube channel. I do really appreciate it. It really helps, and it inspires me to do crazy things like this. Let's take a look. Okay, we are really early on into this, so let me show you what we've got. So what we've built is a 20-foot out from the house and 35-foot long addition here. So you have right now is you have a flat roof. You know, obviously there's a little pitch and everything, but it's basically a roof upstairs. And now it's going to be awaiting to have the concrete foundation put in. So inside of here, you can see it's not a deck. It is a fully sheathed and EPDM covered roof. It is standard flat roof construction, and it gives us a completely covered area here, and it does connect right up to the house. So this is going to be a future fish room. So let's walk in real quick through the front. So you're going to come down the path here, and this is going to be the front of the room, and it's going to go all the way across and connect over there to the wall. So you're going to have sliding glass doors here and a sliding glass door over there, and then the outside, of course, will all be framed in. So this will be the outside wall here, and then all the way at the end connecting in. And then inside is going to be a big open room with the exception of these pillars inside, which will be sleeved and covered to make them look nice. But we're going to have a very large area here. We're going to have a 12-foot by 30, you know, after the walls are built, let's say like 33, 34 feet long. and then we're gonna have a an 8 to 9 foot. It's about 9 feet. We come over here, so this area here will be, I mean, it is 10 feet out to here, but with the pillars in the way, you know, usable space and everything. Let's call it 9 or 10 feet out from the house, and then again 35 feet, and of course over here will be the other entrance. One nice thing about this area is it does have water already. So it used to be outdoor water, but it's going to be indoor water. And obviously the leaves and the tractor and all this stuff won't be here. And what's going to happen next is the ground is going to be getting set up for concrete. So it'll be a concrete floor, of course, and it'll come all the way out to the edge. So just another view from the other side. So all of this here will be fish tanks, and then that's the 600-gallon reef slope there. So this will be an inside door at that point, and I'll probably just leave it open all the time, just to connect it with this new room. Even though this room will have its own climate control, so I use a ductless mini split over here for the basement, and it supports 4 heads. So right now it's only using 2. It has one on this side of the basement and then one on the far side of the basement. And then there'll be another dedicated head to this new addition to the basement here. So, and as you can imagine, I am going to be building this room with insulation and dehumidification, you know, as part of the main factors, because it's going to be purpose built for keeping aquariums. But as you can see, we're going to have a huge amount of space here to work with for a whole bunch of custom aquariums. So it's going to be massive. And of course some sort of helicopter or plane's got to fly over, but at any rate, so this is the very, very hairy beginnings of the fish basement annex. So you're seeing it, you're going to be seeing it as it goes up. It's going to be pretty exciting, but as you can tell, we have a long way to go. So at any rate, while we work on getting this built, we can definitely daydream about, you know, what kind of aquariums we can build in here. There's, you know, obviously you have to leave some access to the doors and everything, but that still leaves us a lot of space in here. Just a ton of space. Let me come out here to the front. So yeah, coming in, we've got room from all the way over here, and we're going to be able to do aquariums all the way down to here. So, and 20 feet in. So definitely a lot of options. You know, it's going to be all custom DIY aquariums that I will build. Nothing off the shelf kind of thing. So it's going to be interesting. And I think once the room is, you know, framed in and there's concrete, and I can start putting down tape or, you know, cardboard or sort of, you know, boxing out what aquarium ideas might be, you'll definitely start to see the scale, especially if I get a tape measure down. I know it's probably hard to tell the scale on video, but it's going to be massive. And I would say we're going to be busy for the next year doing a lot of custom aquarium building. So it's going to be exciting times. All right, so it's the very hairy beginning of the build, but what I'm going to do is, as the build progresses, I'm going to keep doing these little videos for the members, and I might even sneak them in the regular videos. I'm going to put them at the very end. So if anyone watches my normal videos to the very end, where I'm shutting it, normally where I'm saying bye in the end of the video, maybe I'll put in some of this, you know, to reward those people that you know, watch the whole video. I think that'd be kind of interesting to see if how many people actually find it. But all right, again, thanks for being a member, thanks for being a patron to the channel. I really appreciate it.